today, like I said initially, we are actually getting ourselves educated. I am in school today, and I hope all you listeners out there, whether you're from Nigeria, you're from Congo, you're from Uganda, you're from Zimbabwe, you're from Mali, I think by the time this program ends, there's something that you're going to pick home, you're going to learn, and I do believe I'm getting my notes, taking my notes down, because I do not want to, after this program, I do not want to remain so illiterate when it comes to certain aspects of the culture. Her Royal Highness, let's break it down a little bit. We're talking of attire, we're talking of clothing over here, and I can see, for instance, that you're wearing some headpiece, and again, some people do have head wraps, depending on why the head wrap. I mean, what does it signify?
Respect and being dignified in Africans cuts across wherever you are, and one of and I think this would be in even in other cultures, one of the significance of a woman wearing a head wrap has always been as a form of extending your own dignity, and also sometimes for even practicality, for sweat, for covering. And as you can see, Princess Nigiwe is wearing a head wrap today, and I don't have a head wrap today. But in significance, it would be as a form of extending your own dignity. It would have certain symbolism in also in the levels at which you might be at. For an example, there's a different head wrap that a traditional healer would wear compared to a newlywed woman who's a makoti, compared to the different. So all the levels of the head wraps, because it's also not just general head wraps. The color that you are wearing, how you wear it, how you tie it up, would have a different significance, and cuts across. And also, surprisingly, you find men that also wear head wraps, depending on the function that might be happening or the event, or the significance of the tribe in which the head wrap has a symbolism. So a head wrap becomes an extension of defining a function that we are attending, defining the dignity that you are extending, and also the significance. And sometimes it would be just for honoring the people that are around you and honoring yourself.
Okay. On that note, since we are already talking about hair wrap, let's welcome let's welcome someone who is wearing a hair wrap as we speak. Her Royal Highness Princess Nigiwe Bam, all the way from South Africa. Her Royal Highness, honor to have you on. Could you please introduce yourselves to us?
Greetings. Thank you so much for hosting us. Princess Nigiwe Bam. I'm from the Mpondo Mise Nation. I'm the founder and president of African Young Indigenous Leaders. And also I'm here as a culture ambassador for South Africa, representing Aido and also the program Roots of Africa.
Wow. That was a very brief introduction. Tell us a little bit about what your foundation does, because it's linked to culture and it's linked to the program we hosting and Aido International itself. Tell us a little bit about what your organization do.
Here in South Africa, we have started the African Young Indigenous Leaders, which is connecting Africans across the continent, promoting culture, our heritage, supporting the institution of indigenous leaders, connecting with monarchs across the continent, bringing back the dignity, restoration of our heritage. So we work with the royalty, we work with cultural activists, we work with other organizations that are also having the same mandate as we are.
Wow. Since you coming in with a hair wrap, we're going to just ask a bit about What is the significance of the hair wrap you're wearing?
All right. Currently, within this, I'll say modern, because myself, I grew up with my grandmother who used to have the hair wrap. So we have different designs. Some people will have it bigger or wrapped, decorated, and all that. So it also identifies from which nation you are coming from. Because, like, for instance, in South Africa, mostly you will find people that are in the Xhosa side that put this. There is the Xhosa people, the Amatembu, Amabomvana. So the way they wrap their hair wraps, the duke, is slightly different. So myself, I've been inspired mostly by my grandmother. So there are so many other people that are inspiring me. So for me, it signifies currently dignity. But as Africans, we have also see that people in the olden days used to grow their hair. They will tie their hair. They will make dreadlocks and all that. So the head wrap will be mainly for married women, and it, like I'm saying, it's for dignity. I'm not married, but I like it because it brings that dignity. Sometimes I don't put it on because sometimes you find that people are calling me mama, and like, but I'm of the same age as them. So I like it sometimes, but sometimes I feel like, okay, I'm restricting myself from being the girl or the single lady that I am.
Okay.
So there are different reasons why people use it and wear it.
Okay. Now let's dig a bit deeper into this clothing. I'm very interested and passionate about knowing a little bit about what people wear. We've seen a lot of Zulu. We've seen a lot of people from South Africa wearing different kind of one particular thing that anyone who has observed anything from South Africa will look at is the leopard skin. That is very, very, I mean, distinct when it comes to South African culture. What is actually, why do chiefs, kings wear, I mean, the leopard skin? If I go first to Princess, Her Royal Highness Princess Sifokazi, why do they wear skins, leopard skins to be in particular?
I think in general, they're associated with nature.
Okay.
We have never had a separation between us and nature, and whether by saying nature we're including animals, we are including water, we are including the sky, we're including the caves, we're including the mountains, we're talking rivers and oceans, and the animal kingdom. We have never had a distinction of separating ourselves from it. And also, if you link it a little bit, we've always got totems that are linked to a certain tribe.
Okay.
So you find, luckily, Prince Nikki and myself come from the same tribe. So when she was introducing herself, she said, and Ingwakwa is the totem for the Mbondomise people.
Okay.
So you would find that type, which elsewhere it's a specific type of a snake, which always visits whenever a child is born, and also visits in dreams and in person. So in the skins that the kings would wear, it also would very linked on the type of skin. So it's not just any type of skin you would go and pick up from a shop. And that is why I've also even every now and then wondered when African people would even buy some of these nice skins and they put them in their lounges and in their couches in the house, then I wonder, is it linked to the significance or not? Do they understand how the two link up together? So coming to the chiefs and kings, the skins that they wear would be signifying the royalty that they have.
Okay.
And would be also the level, and would vary from whether it's a lion skin, a tiger, depending on the identification again that goes with them. Now, the linking of people to animals also signifies a level of protection that also you've called upon that that animal has, and also the character of the animal. And that is how, when the elders would sit together and choose the type of animal. For an example, what I'm wearing at the moment that you'd see as a split, which side am I showing this? This would be from a goat that was slaughtered when we were doing a rite of passage for me in a certain function.
Okay.
So that part of it also then gets passed on and it becomes mine. So that is the significance of animals in general,
okay,
and specifically to kings and queens and royalty. It would be specific to them, and depending on protection, character passed on, and what that specific tribe identifies with.
Wow, wow. Listeners, I told you we are in for education, and I tell you what, not even Oxford will be able to tell you the deep insight of what we're learning today. I knew it was coming, and I'm glad to be actually listening to this coming from the two princesses, the royal highnesses over here to educate us. Let me go to Princess Nikewe. I want to find out, we see your hair wrap, we see Her Royal Highness trying to educate us about what it signifies, the difference. Now, we know sometimes the traditionality, we want to hold on to our culture, clothing, and our practices. To what extent is this evolving, and have you seen kind of changing trends over time in South Africa in terms of the attire we wear because of modernity?
I think we might have lost.
We might have lost her. So I'll come back to you then, so that you continue to educate us on this. To what extent are we seeing? I mean, these are traditional attires evolving because of modernity.
They are evolving. African people they cover sometimes, and sometimes they don't cover.
Okay.
And in the Western culture, this is normally frowned upon. If you look at the reed dance, that is normally done in Swaziland, and also the Zulu nation also doing a function for girls, the breasts were never seen as an object of I'm trying to look for the right word. They were never seen as an object of extra interest.
Okay.
They were seen as one other body part. Now, if I went to Sandton City in Johannesburg in the mall, and walked around in the short skirt with my breasts not covered, that would sometimes be interpreted as indecent. And therefore, culture finds itself in this mixed bag now of having to define what is indecent according to Western culture and what is indecent according to African. So I think there is that negotiation that has happened in trying to find a mixed bag of staying in an urban area while adhering to cultural norms. So it has pushed people to not being sure on what is acceptable and what is not acceptable, depending on the lens that you wear when you're looking, whether it's African or Western.
And I think that that brings me to my next question, which is directly linked to what you just explained. There was a recent controversy over someone who appeared in a traditional way in a shopping place in South Africa. How much has the Western clothes influenced traditional wear, and how can we preserve our traditional wear as well as support our home industries? How can we not? What you're saying about when you appear somewhere and it might not sit well for others, with something recent happened in South Africa, how do we address this?
the beauty of having the Aido network and the heritage and culture programs is normalizing being African and how we dress up. And I think sometimes the universe knows how to line up things, and it will create incidences that will foster a debate like this one that says what is acceptable and what is not. And it has never not been acceptable to see somebody's skin and for someone to dress up, but it's just that we were normalized around a Western clothing style. And this one event just created a big conversation around what is acceptable in urban areas for a dress code. And the way the gentleman was dressed was not untoward. It was not ill-disciplined or any ill form, but it's just that it has not been normalized in urban areas. So the more of him that we see, the more of us that we dress up like this, even when we go to the boardroom, therefore the more this will become normal. And the more we have sessions like this, where we say there's nothing witchcraft-ish about this, there's nothing indecent about it, just like the gold necklace you would have worn, just like the nice head bead you would have worn, this also is standard and normal.
I asked that question because it's something that is cutting across the whole of Africa. I think we have Princess back, and I'll go back to her pretty shortly. Recently in Nigeria, we did have a problem when a traditionalist dressed in his own, full regalia, went into a courtroom with one of someone who has been charged for certain offenses. We also did have a situation in Ghana when the Supreme Court was adjudicating a case, and the issue about proper dressing to certain areas became a bone of contention because the Chief Justice was, asking why the person was not in suit. Let me ask you this question. I wouldn't want you to answer it, but just point out about it. Your opinion about wearing traditional clothes during public functions such as office work or parliament proceedings. I'll come back to you on that. But let me go back to the Princess we lost, who has just surfaced. Princess, we lost you a little bit. Let me ask you your opinion about it. We know that modernity is influencing a lot of changes in our culture. What is your opinion about how, or have you seen or observed evolvement or evolving clothing trends that the princes, the princesses, the royals, and the traditionalists wear in South Africa?
Yes, the culture is revolving. People are getting creative in terms of designing their clothes, but it's mostly influenced by the West. So I think we need to preserve our culture, and I think we need to have cultural villages and cultural museums and heritage museums where people can actually go and see what is relevant, like what is it that our indigenous people used to use at those days. Because with evolving of culture, there's nothing much that is changing. We find that people are bringing something that we have used a long time ago, and now it's just that it becomes maybe more associated with the modern fashion or the style. So I think that is not yet lost completely, so we can still revive our cultures and just to use the technology that we have, as well as internet and connections, because we can exactly what used to be worn before, because we know that we no longer have the skins, we no longer have much of the beads that were used, like the original beads. People are manufacturing. There is a lot of development that is happening. There is industrialization as well. So people want to maybe go and buy affordable stuff. So I think for us to be able to promote our cultures, we need to have affordable material that we can use. We need to manufacture, we need to have our own textiles that are made here in Africa instead of exporting and buying from other countries, because we still have plants, we can still grow cotton and other things that we can use to make the clothes that we are wearing. But we need a reference. As young people, we are slowly losing it because we cannot get hold of the original material. So if we can maybe have cultural villages, heritage museums and stuff, where we can go and take those ideas, do them in the modern style, but they still keep our identity and our heritage.
That is very, very powerful. That's very, very powerful. The question about scarcity, the question about we not being able to mass produce some of these things, because sometimes you speak to, especially those of us in the diaspora, you speak to children, they yearn for it. I know people who want to tell you, oh, can you buy me this from South Africa? Can you buy me this from Zimbabwe? Can you buy me this from, which means that there are business opportunities over there that if we can identify that some of these we can mass produce them, our children will actually embrace them, because some of us are proud if we wear them. But let me come to you before I go to Her Royal Highness Princess Sifakosi. Let me stay with you again. What is your opinion about wearing traditional clothes to public function? Like say parliament, we see speakers wearing suits and other things. What is your opinion? Do you think that it's time we should encourage them, or we should implore upon them to start wearing some of these our traditional clothes that will promote our culture?
Okay, I think sometimes you find that when you are invited to a function, they say you must wear like formal attire. Okay. For myself, formal attire means my indigenous clothing. So there is no formal function that I will attend wearing a suit. I wear my traditional clothing. Even this dress is made from Kenya. It's branded to Winnie Madikizela Mandela. It's got the face. So that is what I wear. If I go to the shop and buy other clothes, it's because of affordability. I can afford, maybe I can buy something for 200 rand, for 300 rand, compared to the traditional clothing. Hence, I was talking about affordability as well. So if people can afford the material, the clothing, the indigenous clothes currently, I assure you that for every function, for every wedding, even in parliament, people will be wearing those, because we see some women in parliament, they are always wearing their traditional clothing from different cultures. Even when we are opening parliament, you'll see people coming dressed up in their full African attires. So I would say sometimes it's about affordability, which I think even businesses can invest more on developing such people who are doing traditional clothing, and also creating affordable material for us to be able to embrace our cultures and embrace our African attires. So going anywhere, I go to everywhere, I just wear my beads, because I also make beads, so I wear my beads. Everything that I wear, even if it's a Western dress, but if I see that my beads will fit, I will put on my beads. So I will go there with that symbol that says that I am this person that I am. I'm an African. So I am not ashamed of that. And people should not be ashamed of who they are.
Wow. Her Royal Highness Princess Sifakosi, let me come back to you again on that. What is your personal opinion on this issue?
As I stated on, we need to normalize wearing African clothing as a standard. Okay. We shouldn't be choosing one or the other. Okay. And even if you've noted, the designers have really made the clothing to also look trendy and nice. So you do get quite fashionable African wear. It doesn't mean that just because we're talking African wear, it means that it's going to look dowdy. It looks nice. It looks light. You do get a summer type clothing, because this is quite a light cloth that I'm wearing, and that's because today we had a hot weather, so I decided to go for a lighter cloth. You do get some of the cloth that will belong. So there is the range of African wear is quite broad, just like you would get in any other Western type clothing. I think what has also encouraged me in South Africa, when there's opening of parliament or any of those types of big events, there's been quite a slide towards parliamentarians wearing African wear.
Okay.
And even across races, not just African as in black, even African white. So it is becoming a fashion statement to go to main events wearing African wear, wearing dresses that are African, look splendid and beautiful. Beads, people who do beads have really gone to town in terms of designs. So the range is broader. The sequences that are there for wearing, the colors. If you go to Pinterest and you just look at the variety of clothing that the designers are doing, really they've lifted that range to the next level. Wow. It's just us now normalizing and getting a mass people to wear and be comfortable with their traditional clothing, which is what I pride myself with the Aido network. For most of the events that we have, everyone is show-offing their clothing attires. It makes one eats their heart out and makes one very proud. So the more we normalize it, even with our kids, that they do have standard clothing, we wear it as a normal clothing, did not even be an event. Just being at home and just dressing up should be normalized with their own African way.
Wow. I also noticed that both of you are heavily involved with the Aido International Network culture arm. What should the public be expecting from you in the future? If I stay with you, Princess, first, what should the public be expecting from your committee and Aido International Network in trying to promote the topic we're looking at today, which is African way?
Go, Princess Nigibe.
Okay, we are saying the roots of Africa. So where are our roots? So I think we need to go back to where we come from so that we understand the past, we understand where we come from, we understand who we are, so that we can know where we are going. So with the roots of Africa, Aido Network, it's promoting culture. We want the world to know the cultures, different cultures in South Africa, how people are dressing up, what people eat, what our indigenous ways of doing things, like our medicine, the healing. We are in COVID, but we are stuck with the Western medicine, while we could have came up with our own vaccines, with our own medicine from the herbs, from the likes of Princess Supogazi here, because they are also indigenous healers. So we want to restore that. We want to bring back the dignity that have been taken away from us through colonization. So people that are in the world must tune in always on our programs, because this is what they are going to do. They are going to learn. They are going to be connected to their roots. They are going to know. They are going to go back to the nature and connect and know the significance of things that are happening, know their lives, how to live their lives. Because when you are connected to yourself, you get guidance from our spiritual guiders, from our ancestors. They guide us to prosperity. So with the roots of Africa, we are going to bring back that spirituality, the humanity, the unity that we want to see amongst our cultures, amongst our nations, the continent at large, and also the people that are in the diaspora must live in Africa through the roots of Africa. That is brought by Aido.
Okay, thank you very much for that, and I would like to thank you for bringing back something that nearly escaped me, the issue about ancestors and the issue about healing. Princess earlier on, Her Royal Highness Princess Kafuzi earlier on introduced herself, and she said she's a healer. Princess, we can't go without you telling us a little bit about that healing aspect of your mission and what you do. So if you give us a little bit of education, what does that involve and what exactly do you do with that?
One of the gifts of being African is that we've always known what we needed to heal ourselves. it has never phased us. It's just that we, for the longest of time, we were disconnected. And you find with colonization, separation from Mother Earth, we lost a bit of that. And everyone has a gift, whether it's a prophetic gift, whether it's a gift of knowing medicines, whether it's a gift, and even just being able to listen to your own body. If I'm just now coming to mind, the Zulu greeting is Sanbonan, and it almost, whenever we talk to ourselves, we never individualize, but we talk as a plural, because it's an acknowledgement that we move with those that have lived before us. And there is a drive even within Aido, whether it's in the Americas or in other places, to heal Africa's spirit, so that Africa, as it goes back or as it settles in its root, the pain and the trauma of the past leaves us, and we are able to move forward as a healed continent, as a healed nations, so that we can have and raise up kids that do not live out our pain. So now I'm talking about this at a broader level.
Okay.
At an individual level, there is medicine. Most, as Princess Nikiwa was saying, when we talk about vaccines, we've been looking at other continents and not looked inward.
Okay.
To say, how then as Africa do we heal ourselves? What have we already been given that will heal us? So part of that, going back to our roots, is in the medicine, is in the gifting, is in the dreams that we have as we get all the things that need to be imparted to us. So the healing is individual. The healing is at a group level. The healing is at a nation's level, whether in Mother Africa or elsewhere in the diaspora. We are all we are all called to come into that healing that will take us to the next generation that is not busy trying to recover from colonization, trying to recover from being dispersed, and only moving from a place that is whole, from a place that is rooted, from a place that is centered in who they are, with an identity that has not been broken into pieces along the way in all the different ships that we found Africans in when they were being moved from one continent to the other.
Thank you very much. But your answer has raised another very important question, which I think Aido International will serve as a very classic example to be able to explain, and I know both of you will help me to understand this a little bit. Now, with the healing that you're talking about, we're talking about culture, we're talking about healing, we're talking about often than not, you have this tussle between Christianity, tradition, healing, and all those things. And even we've had situations where people think that once you're a Christian or once you're a Muslim, you're supposed to detach yourself from ancestors, what they used to do. One thing I found beautiful about the organization Aido International is that we have a blend of traditionalists, Christians, Muslims, all doing something together to achieve a common goal, which is development for Africa. Because all these tradition, cultures, and other things we're talking about, our ancestors, their goal was to use that either through the healing to advance the cause of humanity, either through whatever they're doing to be able to progress the society. How have you managed as an organization to blend the two, where sometimes you go to church, they don't want to see a traditionalist, you go to they don't want to see this, that kind of tussle, that problem? How have you been able to solve it as an organization, and what will you be your suggestion to others who are listening who might be misinformed, so to say, about the role of traditionalists in a modern society, be it Christian community or Muslim community? I know it's a loaded question, but please help me out.
Oh, it could be a session on its own.
Yeah.
This one, I'll do my small attempt,
please,
to answer it as I interpret it, and by no means am I saying it is the gospel.
Yeah.
Um, my view to it has always been that when you are rooted and centered, you do not need to be intellectual.
Okay.
You know what you know. And that takes away a lot of an intellectual discussion of how these things should be. Kindness is kindness, whether you are a traditionalist or Christian or Muslim. Love is love. It doesn't matter which interpretation, whether you're going to want to quote John 3:16 or whichever version you're going to want to quote. Forgiveness is forgiveness. So there are certain ideologies of life which are true to whichever religion you want to adopt. Being humane and loving each other is cuts across board. Right. So I think one of the things that Aido has been able to create within its values and norms is having humane values and norms which are accepting of whichever religion you would want to profess or subscribe to.
Okay.
Which has made it easy for us to coexist. Because I don't think there is anyone of the different religions that is not agreeing that there is a higher power. There is a God, or whatever you want to call him. There is Undikoyo, Umvelingana. It's just an interpretation, which is everyone, which I think the norms of the organization have been in coexistence and have been in understanding that if you are centered, therefore there is a very little need for us to be Bible bashing. There is very little need to be imposing of one's value system over the other, but there is far much more we can do together than we can do apart. And there is far much more we can do in unity than we can do in separation. So that a posture of life has afforded us then the opportunity to be able to carry on living with each other and being able to exist and acknowledge that if there is the Holy Spirit is amongst us, the ancestors amongst us, if you're Muslim, whatever you subscribe to, is allowed, accepted to exist amongst us. It's the humanity that we have and the roots that understand being African encompasses way more than what you would want to quote in a verse.
Wow. Listeners, this has been so powerful. I mean, to be honest with you, as a host of this program, this has been one of my best programs, I might say, because the lessons I'm picking up from these discussions are just they blow my mind. And I thank you very much, the two royals, for actually unveiling yourself and actually sparing us this time. It's an honor to host you, and I would love to host you once again. Time has come so quick. I wish we can continue with this, but I think I need to speak to the organization. We might have to do part 2 of this. I've enjoyed this program totally, and I must say big thank you. But before you go, I'm going to cross over to Her Royal Highness Princess Nekoe to give us her closing remarks before we say goodbye to her. Princess, your honor.
We are all Africans. I think that is what we need to remember all the time. We are of the same ancestor. We are from Untu. So if you are not Ntu, or you are not a Muntu, or you are not a being, you are a thing. So let's always remember that.
Wow. So powerful and beautifully put. Princess, if you wrap it for us.
I almost foresee that the next session would have some type of a fashion show. I just had that just highlighted in me because we spoke.
Are speaking.
There is a missing part. If we can have a Paris week, a fashion show, there's nothing stopping us having a Lagos fashion show week. One that would be virtual online, and all of it. Every time we are learning, We are taking in, we are embracing, we are healing, and we grow and we become more so that we can give more to the next generation.
Wow, wow. Without missing my words, I'll say thank you very much, both of you, for coming on this program. Like I said, I totally enjoyed this program. It's one of my best program, and I tell you what, the podcast will be available in the next 5 minutes, and tonight I'm going to listen to it again, and I'm going to watch the video again. I would like to say, on behalf of Starr Radio and on behalf of Aido International Network, on behalf of our listeners, we say big thank you, the Royals, for actually spending time with us today. We totally are grateful to you, and we say
thank you so much. We are also grateful.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, and have a blessed day. Well, listeners, this is how we bring the program to a close. It's been a wonderful show. I totally enjoy it. Join us next week again at 3 p.m. UK time for where we bring you another edition of the Roots of Africa. But I totally enjoy this program. I'm going to speak to the organization who would like to bring the Royals back. This subject is deep and far beyond what we can imagine, and we try and educate ourselves. I've been a student of the two Royals, and I'm pleased to have them on board. So join us next week for another edition of Roots of Africa. It's been me, Frank Davids, your usual host, and I say thank you very much for being part of this program. Thank you. Bye bye.